This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
Well, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
This is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. Of course, we didn't do a show yesterday because it was New Year's Day, but we're back at it today. Fresh New Year, wiped the slate clean. And, we have a Steelers injury report
Yeah, good place
today.
to start.
Great place to start. The only guy on the injury report who is actually on the active roster who has any injury designation for this game for the Pittsburgh Steelers, game being Saturday night against the Cincinnati Bengals, is Dante Jackson, the cornerback. He was limited the last 2 days of the back issue, but he said he is playing.
Okay, great. Obviously, you made those qualifiers. You're not talking about the Holcombs of the world. I mean,
Roman Wilson,
we
Cole
together,
Holcomb, Logan Lee, all out for this game. And I tweeted the injury report out, or X'd it out. What do you call that now?
I still call it Twitter.
It's the X Twitter.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So I put that out there earlier today, a little while ago, and immediately I get, what's going on? Why isn't Roman Wilson active?
Oh, I know. I've been getting a lot of Roman Wilson feedback.
He's practiced like 3 weeks this season.
Mm-hmm, total.
All season.
Including camp, right?
Including training camp.
Right.
And you expect him to just hop right in here and jump right out there and play. Who are you playing him over?
Yeah.
Tell me who. Give me an idea. Who are you playing him over?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, like, you're not going to take Skoranek out of the mix.
No.
I mean, he's a key special teamer.
Yeah.
Mike Williams?
No.
I mean, I don't think. I mean, you need big bodies. You don't need another little guy.
You might say,
right?
Scotty Miller. Well, Scotty Miller.
Yeah, he's not always active anyway.
No, he does.
I mean, I guess most of the time. Yeah.
But Scotty Miller, earlier this season, when they needed a backup holder, he did it. When they needed the backup gunner, he did it.
I'd say the gunner thing's more important than the holder. I mean, I'm not keeping guys around.
Unless you don't have another holder.
Right.
But, you're not going to suddenly go, you know what, Scotty? Thanks a lot for everything, but you're going to be inactive this week.
So
we're going to bring up the kid that hasn't done anything all season long just because the fans are crazy about it.
I know. And I'm totally in your corner, and I understand it. What would Wilson have to do in practice to make that a discussion? Would he have to be just light it up? Or
that would
is
help.
it even possible?
That would help.
I mean, or is it even possible? You know what I mean? Like,
at this point, he's running scout team stuff. Here's the thing, folks. They activated those 3 players.
And he's not going to run with the ones.
No.
Yeah, right.
They activated Wilson, Holcomb, and Lee at this point.
Because they have nothing to lose.
They have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
If you have an injury now.
All these teams are going to do that.
Yeah. The smart ones are.
Right.
Because you've got these spots where you can bring these guys back. You get 8 of them during the regular season.
You get 21 days.
Yeah. I think you get 2 more in the postseason.
Oh, really?
But you got 8 of them. So you got to use them.
You might as well. It'll carry over next year.
Then you have 21 days. Well, that takes you through this week. That takes you through next week, which is the first week of your playoffs. That takes you through the following week, which is the second week of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then you get to make a decision about, are we going to put this guy on the active roster, or are we just going to have him done for the year?
Yeah.
Because at that point, if you make it that far, you've only got 2 games potentially left.
Yeah. I mean, and in the meantime, Wilson's out there running around and getting
practice.
better. Yeah, you're getting a better look at him and Lee, etc. I mean, I'm thinking about those 2 because they're both young.
Yeah, both rookies.
Right. I mean, but it's not goal number 1 to.
Got to put him right out there.
Let's work on Logan Lee's hands placements all day Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
No, you got to beat the upcoming teams here.
Let's see what we got in Roman Wilson in the playoffs. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah,
come on.
I understand the excitement, folks.
I do too, but
there's those logistics behind it.
Tap the break. The guy missed all of training camp, and then he practiced for 3 weeks earlier in the season. They finally got him into a game. And then he got hurt again.
Yeah.
Like, to expect this guy to jump – I mean, you want to talk about jumping on a moving train. Like, come on.
Yeah.
He's a rookie.
Yeah, it's not a knock on him at all. I mean,
no.
You're right. If by chance he would be active at any of these stretch over the 21 days, he's probably blowing their doors off.
Or it's because 6 other guys got hurt.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
That's what you would do.
He takes that role or whatever.
But you're not going to force it. I mean, it would be silly at this point to do so. And – what kind of message would it send to the rest of your locker room? Oh, we're going to bring Roman Wilson up now, and we're going to cut Scotty Miller.
Yeah.
Because that's what you'd have to do.
I mean, you'd have to. Somebody
else would have to go. And again, that sends a bad message. Well, Scotty, we love you. We carried you all season long. You made some big catches for us, like for example in the Jets game.
But and he has value.
Yeah, but you're gone.
Yeah.
Doesn't send a great message.
No, it doesn't. I mean, again, Wilson would have to blow your doors off.
He would have, if he were your first rounder, if he were Troy Fautanu.
That's what I was about to bring up. Since Fautanu's not in that group, does that mean there's zero chance he plays?
Means
this
they're
year?
probably not.
Yeah. I assumed that was the answer to that.
But
Okay.
they're at least opening the window for these guys, to get to your point, to get them some practice time.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. At least they get out there and become better football players in the meantime.
And in the case of Holcomb, you want to reward him a little bit because he has busted his butt to get healthy.
Yeah.
You haven't had a linebacker injury to need him, but if you did, now you can bring him back.
I should know this, but his contract is not up, right?
No, I think he's got another year.
Yeah, I'm saying he'll be in camp.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. I mean, I know the rookies will be, of course. But
So you get him a little work, and hey, you may want to make a decision about that in the offseason.
Absolutely.
You get 3 weeks here to look at him practicing and say, okay, he looks like he would be back. So we'll carry that contract over into next season. Or,
not looking great,
maybe we
right.
like Landon Roberts better. We're going to move on.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Wilson isn't, Queen isn't. I don't think Roberts is up either, right?
I believe he is, yeah.
He is.
He signed a
Okay.
2-year deal.
Okay. Yeah, that adds up. Yeah. And chances of all four being in camp seem, I don't know. I mean, because even when I thought Holcomb
Depends on
might
the
be
money,
available
you know.
in camp, maybe I thought he might be a trade candidate. But
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't ready. I mean, he just wasn't physically ready.
Yeah. On the Cincinnati side of things.
There's an interesting one here.
Yeah, Chase Brown did not practice all week long. He is listed as questionable.
Yeah,
He's not playing.
I guess the head coach said he's a game time decision. I think that's gamesmanship. I can't imagine he plays.
I mean, I understand them wanting to leave the door open for him because,
Sure.
again, he's 10 yards short of 1,000 yards for the season.
And he's their best back.
And he's their best back by far.
By far.
I mean, they don't even give the ball to anybody else when he has been healthy. Orlando Brown Jr. got back to a full participant today, so he is going to play. Same thing with Joe Burrow. He was limited all week long until today. Trey Hendrickson.
What's the Burrow? They just call it wrist, or
wrist and knee.
Okay.
The same thing has been bothering him.
Yeah.
Trey Hendrickson was a full participant today after resting yesterday. He is no designation. T. Higgins.
That's the one that's interesting, peculiar,
Limited all week long with ankle and knee issues, and he is questionable.
Yes. Now, we predicted this 5-6 months ago that there might be a day that this arises, that if you're Mr. Higgins and the team neglects to have long-term contract situation with you, are you super eager to run out there when you don't have to? I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, that's the decision
I'm not trying
he would
to
have to
plant
make.
seeds here or say he's just going to tell him no, but
He may
could.
look at this and say, hey, we got a 6% chance to make the playoffs. Even if we win this game.
Yeah.
There are still two other things that have to happen, and both teams in both situations are favored, including the Broncos, who are heavily favored to beat the Chiefs against backups. So even if we win this game, does it get us into the playoffs? Probably not. I'm coming off an 11-catch, 3-touchdown game last week in Cincinnati, where I said after the game that this is probably my last, game in front of the home fans. If I go out there, let's say even if we win this game, but if I go out there and get hurt in this game, I'm going to lose millions.
Maybe $10 million or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on the severity of the injury. I mean,
Right.
Even if it's something small that,
It's going to need an off-season surgery.
Right. Something little. But
God forbid he tears an ACL or an
right.
Achilles or something like that.
He's going to be the hottest free agent on the market regardless
He's going to
of
make
position.
$30+ million a year.
Yeah, and he's coming off his best year, and I totally get that. And if I were the Patriots or someone like that, I would be very interested, and a lot of teams will be. And I wouldn't blame him one bit if he said, my stock's as high as it's ever going to be.
And I do think he has legitimate injuries.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's getting treatment. I don't think they're just making
he has
up,
missed games this year because of stuff. That would be my one question with T. Higgins in the offseason. I love the player.
There is some durability stuff.
But there's some he's missed games in each of the last two seasons that would make me like, do I want to give this guy $30+ million and
I totally get it, right.
Because
those are real.
He's missed games.
It's been a variety of things too.
Sam Hubbard is out. We knew that. Yeah. Chris Jenkins was back today, so it looks like he's going to play. Charlie Jones, the wide receiver, their kick returner, limited all week long. He is questionable. Amarius Mims.
Yeah, that's the one that's really interesting to me too.
Limited the first 2 days of the week, did not practice today.
Okay.
and is listed as questionable.
Yeah. So I mentioned that Taylor said something along the lines of he's a game-time decision about Brown. I guess that's also Mims. I just got earlier today I got a blurb on my phone saying those two are game-time decisions, which I took as, I bet they're
He's
not
a rookie.
He's still their best guy. Right.
But he's also a rookie who had, 8 games of college experience?
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably got now 10 games of starting experience in the NFL. And you're going to have him go practice all week long, not practice on Friday, and then just step right in and play against T.J. Watt?
I think the answer is yes. I mean, if he can go, he's going to be your starting right tackle. I mean, the drop-off is significant. It's not great. I mean, it's not a great situation. But,
well, Devin Cochran, who was the guy who replaced him.
Trying to think of the name because I'd never heard of him before last week.
He did not practice on Tuesday, but then he practiced in full the last 2 days.
I think he's going to be your right tackle.
I think he's going to be the right tackle.
I don't know much about him, but that should say all you really need to know about him.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, because we kind of study this stuff a little
bit. Right. Is he a rookie?
No.
Okay, so he's bounced around a little bit. Okay.
Yeah. Drew Sample, who's their blocking tight end.
Mm-hmm. He'll be your chipper.
Did not practice all week long. He is listed as questionable.
Okay. He's important for them, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he's who you run behind. He's the chip the Watt guy, especially if your right tackle's a problem.
Yeah, because it's not going to be Gesicki.
No. Gesicki's a receiver,
And then the final one, Cam Taylor-Britt, added to the injury report today. Limited participant today with an ankle issue. He is questionable.
He's starting outside corner. I mean,
They've tried to bench him a couple of times.
Yeah, he's been a problem.
They can't because he's
still their best guy.
Still their best guy.
And he has some talent. And, I mean, their corners in general are pretty brutal. But that would be a big loss.
Yeah.
I mean, even if half those guys don't go.
I mean, you have to think. They got 6 guys who are listed as questionable.
Mm-hmm.
If 3 of those guys don't play.
Yeah, I was really thinking of 4. In Higgins, Taylor-Britt, Mims, and
Chase Brown.
Yes.
I mean,
who did I miss there? Oh, and Sample. Maybe 5 guys that I think are really significant or pivotal, to some degree.
Charlie Jones, that's the one guy
that's not going to hurt their chances of winning or losing, probably.
Right.
But if 2 or 3 of those guys we just mentioned can't go, that hurts the Bengals pretty significantly, in my opinion, especially Higgins, of course.
And Chase
Brown, too.
Yeah, Chase Brown's significant.
He's the one I've written off the
I don't
most.
think he
I mean,
plays.
just watching his injury happen live is like, I'm shocked he's even done anything.
It's basically the same reason why Joey Porter Jr. didn't play last week against Kansas City, because he had a similar type injury where the knee got folded up underneath him.
Yeah.
As you're making a tackle. That's kind of what happened to Chase Brown.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. And he immediately was ruled out as soon as it happened, too. I mean, I thought it was – I guess he's lucky that there's not torn knee or, nothing that's end of season type of thing.
Yeah. So that's where they're at. And, so the Steelers relatively healthy.
Yeah.
The Bengals are not.
No. And that definitely works in their favor. Coming off a long week helps, too. Yeah.
So that's where we're at with that. Looking more farther into this game, and we kind of talked about this today on the matchup show on the Steelers.com. You can check that out on Steelers.com, or you can watch it right on YouTube. I broke down the numbers on Burrow the last time these two teams played.
Okay.
His average time to throw is 2.61 seconds.
Pretty low.
Pretty low.
Yeah.
So his throws under 10 yards,
which
you would assume is under 2.61 seconds.
They're going to be the shorter ones,
yeah.
You're right.
He was 18 of 24 for 138 yards and an interception. His throws over 10 yards, he was 10 of 13 for 171 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Okay.
Steelers sacked him 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
He intercepted him once and also
strip sack.
Forced 2 strip sacks. If you look at that 18 for 24 for 138 yards, that works out to about 5.7 yards per attempt.
Mm-hmm. The short stuff.
On the short stuff.
Yeah.
You will take that all day long.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that the book is pretty well written of how teams attack this defense. Get it out quick. Mahomes epitomized that. Burrow's been great about it in general. Stuff under 2.5 is really, really good. 2.6 is big too because he does extend plays well, and there'll be some snaps where it's 3, 4. Where he's running around.
Even in that game, if you remember, a couple times early in the game, he stepped up into the pocket.
Well,
the one touchdown he threw, Keanu Benton's wrapped around his waist, pulling him to the ground, and he lobbed it into into Chase in the end zone. It's like
he does that better than ever too. So he will extend plays. But no, I guess your point is if you can keep him at 5 to 6 yards per attempt. I mean, was that attempt or
that was per attempt?
Okay,
yeah.
But it's not so bad. I mean, death by 1,000 paper cuts in this one is painful, but I think he's going to complete a high percentage of those short ones.
Everybody
does.
talking
about all week. You got to tackle the catch, you know. And if they throw as much as I expect them to, which I think it might be historic levels. Like I'm assuming Brown's not going to be in. I think they're going to throw a ton. There'll be some tips. There's going to be some overthrows. There's going to be some misses. There's going to be some holding calls. You know, there's going to be negative plays.
Somebody drops in the coverage that he didn't expect.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. And the key part of that is he was 18 of 24 on those attempts. So he did it 24 times. He had 18 completions.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and I don't remember a lot of them being screens. I mean, they were like quick hitters.
It was all quick hitter stuff.
Yeah.
So they tackled the catch well. If you look at the last game against Pat Mahomes, almost the same number of throws. He had 28 throws.
Same strategy.
He was 24 of 28 for 220 yards.
Yeah.
That's like almost 8 yards per attempt. You can't let that happen.
Yeah, and a big thing that I think people are aware of, but when the Steelers played the Bengals, they were one of the best tackling teams in the league. Over the course of the last 3 weeks, I think some of it's because opponent. I think more of it's because they've been on the field so much and they've been playing so much football over an 11-game stretch.
You also had a bunch of guys in there that you're not going to have necessarily in the game this week.
Clearly, the tackling has not been as good these last 3 games as back in Bengal time.
Yeah. The opponents also matters.
No question. I mean, no question about it. But I also think a lot of that's just fatigue and the first of that 3-game stretch, your offense basically didn't play in the second half. I mean, you were out there a ton. So I can't stress enough how important these extra days are for them.
Yeah.
I mean, to fix some problems, all that kind of stuff.
The other thing about this Bengals team in particular, about the quick throws, the majority of those go to Chase.
Yes, because he's so good after the catch.
He's so good after the catch. Higgins is the downfield guy.
Right. Go up and get it, pluck
Chase
it over your head.
Chase can do that, but they would prefer to get the ball to him quickly and let him try to break something.
And Higgins can break a tackle, too.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are really good.
But they don't really throw him bubble screens and stuff like that.
No.
He's
like
down the field
Chase,
and let him try to be big and
Right.
make those plays that way.
Quick slant to Chase, breaks a tackle, or run, get separation, can be big gains.
But when you look at the other guys that they try to do it with, I mean, they'll do some with Gesicki.
Mm-hmm. Crossers and things like that, yeah.
You don't have Chase Brown. That's the other. Chase Brown has 54 catches this year.
No, he's a really accomplished receiver.
Yeah.
He's not a sharp route runner, but he's a very accomplished
He gives
receiver.
him a dump off, that kind of stuff.
Screen game, right.
And then you're looking at like Tanner Hudson. Mm-hmm. You're looking at, just not real dynamic players.
No, I'd say the rest of the group isn't. Burton's not ready yet. I don't know if he ever will be, but he's the next best athlete of the receiving corps. Yeah.
Even Yosivas is more of a down the field kind of guy.
He's kind of a linear size speed guy, But
so so you can put a lot of attention, especially if Brown isn't out there on Chase.
Oh, Brown hurts him a lot if
huge,
he's not out there.
Huge.
I mean, like Herbert can catch the ball and he's okay, but he's not as dynamic or a big play threat.
Yeah. So I just think you focus you see Chase within 10 yards, we got to have 3 guys closing on him quickly.
Mm-hmm.
With Higgins, Joey, you got that.
I would assume that's Joey.
Yeah.
Maybe that's off coverage press, whatever. Don't get beat over the top. Fight him for the ball in the air. Go from there.
Yeah.
And if Higgins isn't playing, well, that's way easier.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume Porter would then follow Chase.
And then with Gesicki, that's what you have Deshaun Elliott for. Because he's a tall, he's a long, rangy kind of athlete playing tight end. He's really just a big wide receiver.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at him, it's pretty obvious that he had a really good volleyball background.
Yeah.
He's great vertical. He's super long, but he's not a change of direction dude. I mean, he's a real tall, long striding, fast, tight end / receiver.
But they don't try to necessarily throw him the ball down the field. It's more 10 yards and stuff like that.
Agreed.
So
if you can get him in motion, get him in stride, and Burrow's great at that, of course. He can run away from people, particularly linebackers.
So it does make them much easier to defend, in my opinion. I mean, if you look at it, Chase Brown has 229 carries.
Yeah.
Zach Moss, who's not playing in this game, has 74. Burrow's the third leading rusher in terms of carries with 41. Herbert has 8.
Herbert has 8, yeah. I mean, anyone in the fantasy community understood that when Moss went out, Brown got like every running back touch.
Every
90% game after game.
Chase has 3 carries.
Okay.
Jake Browning has 2 carries. Tanner Hudson has 1, and Drew Sample has 1.
I wonder if Brownings
That's
are just
it.
like kneels at the end of the game.
They have 359 carries, and those are the guys who have carried the ball for them this year.
That's why I keep coming back to, I know they're not going to become ground and pound. We know that.
Yeah.
But are they even going to have 20 running back touches?
They had 13 running back carries the first time these two teams met.
Yeah, that's with
13.
Brown at the height of his powers,
Yeah.
too. Right. I don't think they'll do that at all. The game you have to have, throwing Burrow in the shotgun.
Joe,
maybe
it's
an
all on
empty.
you. Here it
Yeah,
is. We're going to put it all on your shoulders, and we're going to live and die by what you do in this game.
And expect to see some empty. I mean, I think that's going to happen a fair amount, too.
The scary thing about going empty against the Steelers was protection.
Yeah. And
again, the ball has to come out quick.
Empty's going to be under 2.5 seconds. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
So if you can get your hands on a couple of those and tackle the catch, make it tough on them at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
When they're going to move the ball.
Just got to turn them over a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
He is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt, the Pro Bowl rosters have been released.
Yeah, I haven't even really looked at them
We'll
yet.
talk about that a little bit.
I know
when
the
we
Steelers
come back.
went, and that's all I know.
We will do that when we return right after this. And welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, as I mentioned before the break, the Pro Bowl teams have been announced.
Okay.
4 Steelers make it. You have T.J. Watt.
Sure.
Cam Heyward.
Good.
Chris Boswell.
Nice.
Minka Fitzpatrick.
Some would be shocked about Minka. I think that's crazy. I mean, it's pretty. How many safeties do they take? They take 4?
They take 3, 2 strongs and 1 free.
Okay. So I know they take slots now and nickels. I didn't know how that
He's the only
worked.
free safety
on
the roster.
In the AFC.
AFC.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Minka, and for all the people out there saying Minka Fitzpatrick was having a bad season, Minka Fitzpatrick did not win the fan vote.
Right.
At free safety.
Right. There's a percentage, right? Fans
it's
get
33%, 33% players, 33% coaches.
Oh, okay.
I believe
media has no vote then.
Media has no say in this.
Okay.
They do the fan vote, then they do the players and coaches.
Okay.
So Minka Fitzpatrick did not win the fan vote. That was Amani Hooker.
Okay.
But Minka Fitzpatrick obviously won the coach and player vote. Which one do you think is more important?
Who knows more
about
or in the NFL
who's playing well is not?
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's safe to say, with all you fans, I love your gusto, but I'll take the coach's vote on that, or the people playing against him.
Yeah, the guys who have to scheme against him or play against him. Now, I understand that you might want more splash plays out of Minka Fitzpatrick.
Sure, I bet he does too.
He does as well.
Yeah.
He even said today, he goes, "Yeah, I didn't think I would get it this year because I don't have as many splash plays." But
he had a good interview today, huh?
Yeah. If you look at what he has done this year, for example, the first time the Steelers played the Ravens, they matched Minka Fitzpatrick up on Andrews.
Especially on pivotal downs.
Andrews had 2 catches for 23 yards.
Yep.
Second time around, they couldn't do that because Elliott was out.
Right. That was
Andrews goes crazy.
No, I mean, we've been saying it all along. I have no concerns at all. I mean, in the nature of his position when he's not doing those things, which is a high percentage.
Yeah.
He's the goalie. I mean, he's the last layer of defense, and he allows those other 10 to be a lot more aggressive. It's the best safety blanket feeling ever behind you. Ed Reed, Earl Thomas.
He's one of the best tacklers in the league.
Yep. And we have seen glimpses, especially while Elliott was out, of doing more than that. And we all know he's very, very capable.
Yeah.
So I have no concerns with that guy at all.
None.
But I do like some of the stuff you mentioned in the first segment about short, crisp answers about, getting things fixed and things like that too, That might be another show I was doing. I'm a little confused.
That was another show, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
that was another show I was doing, yeah.
Here's your Pro Bowl roster. At quarterback,
Okay.
Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson.
It's amazing that Mahomes doesn't make it.
Patrick Mahomes doesn't make it.
Those 3 have to go.
Running back, Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, Jonathan Taylor.
Henry's an easy one. Any snubs? I can't say the AFC's super strong.
Yeah, I can't think of any.
I don't think there's anyone I can't put a Chan over those guys. Or it's good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Taylor came on strong.
Fullback. Patrick Ricard.
That guy's been good at a lot of Pro Bowls.
This is like 9.
Yeah.
He
Juszczyk
has
goes every year too.
How about this stat? I saw this today. The NFL sent out some stats on this. Let me find this thing.
Someone's gonna make a Hall of Fame case for him. He went to
they're definitely going to do that
right?
because when you hear the names that he is, just listen to this.
This made me crazy. Yesteryear, because Allstott was listed as a fullback.
Yeah,
but didn't block anybody.
No.
He went every year. Yeah.
Kyle Juszczyk became the 5th running back / fullback in NFL history to make 9+ career Pro Bowls.
Okay. And for people who don't remember, like Franco Harris was called a fullback because he was
here's the list
fully back.
Yeah.
Right. Not
here's the list of guys that Kyle Juszczyk joins on that list: Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, Franco Harris, and Jim Brown. Are we going to consider Kyle Juszczyk?
Right.
Come on.
Right. And
one of these things is not like the others.
Let's look at all their touches per game. He has 0.2, right.
Now,
and he's good at what he does. I mean,
he's good at what he does, but he plays less now than maybe he ever has.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's at like 40% of the snaps for them.
But if a fullback's going to go, he should go. But it's crazy. I mean, it's a glitch.
Well, last year, I think last year,
I'm sure Juszczyk went again.
I don't think it was Juszczyk last year. I think it was the Miami fullback, whose name I can't even think of. It's fullback.
Yeah.
Why are we picking a fullback for the?
Do we pick a long snapper?
Yeah.
Dude, is there a long snapper that goes?
But most teams don't even have a fullback.
Right. I'm gonna say there's not even 31 other people you're competing with.
The last time I looked, and this was a couple of years ago.
A third.
16 of the teams had fullbacks.
Hadn't even had them, right? And some of them were like Watt, who didn't go out there and lead block hardly at all.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the Steelers use Connor Heyward as a fullback, but they call him a tight end.
Yeah, he goes to tight end room. He doesn't go with Najee and Warren on that kind of stuff.
So I mean, that's just a.
I mean, the Chargers use those 2D linemen as they'd use like a Ricard.
Yeah.
But those are the only ones that consistently use a big, hammer all the time.
But again, they use a 300-pound defensive lineman as their fullback.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's better or worse than Juszczyk.
I mean, he was always good. But
I'm sorry, Patrick Ricard. Juszczyk is the one who's made it
a million times.
Now. We haven't gotten him. Yeah. But Ricard's made it a number of times as well.
Oh, I'm sure.
He's
going to keep going, too.
Yeah. At wide receiver, I have a little bit of a problem with this one. Your starters are Jamar Chase and Jerry Jeudy.
Judy's hard to swallow.
As a starter?
Chase is a slam dunk.
As a starter?
Wow. AFC's a little down.
Well, the other 2 receivers are Nico Collins and Zay Flowers.
Okay. If Nico would have played every game to this point, he definitely should be a starter.
He still had a better season than Jerry Jeudy.
As I said, the same thing. Jeudy had a good month.
Yeah.
Or maybe 5 or 6 games. The Winston year.
Yeah.
Is when all his production came.
When they threw the ball.
Would you take Jeudy over Pickens?
No.
I mean, I think Pickens is a better player.
Yeah.
Pickens missed time, too. That's why I asked.
He missed 3 games.
Yeah.
But if you look at the impact and number, like
I might take like Sutton over him.
Cortland Sutton would be a great one.
Yeah. I'm just scanning the
I'm thinking about
a little bit, right.
Who else is out there. Well, how about Brian Thomas?
Thomas is a real good one. Thomas should be in over Flowers too.
Yeah.
He might be my number 2 in the conference.
Right. Jerry Jeudy's a starter, for God's sakes.
Right. Yeah, that's
Come
bad.
on.
That's bad.
Tight end, Brock Bowers and Travis Kelce.
Cool. Kelsey's a bit of a lifetime achievement award, but it's not like he stinks anymore. But right. Bowers an easy one.
Offensive tackle, Deion Dawkins, Laramie Tunsil.
That's not
shameful.
Yeah, that's bad.
And Rashawn Slater.
Slater's been awesome. They don't care about right and left, right?
No.
I mean, I'd want to take a ton of people over Tunsil this year.
Yeah.
Alt.
Remember, they don't even play a game anymore. It's just
Oh, I know.
Pro Bowl games.
Yeah. That's Tunsil should not be one of them.
The guards, Quentin Nelson, Joe Thuney, Trey Smith.
Quinn Miners didn't go?
Quinn Miners did not make it.
I think he's the best guard in the league.
Yeah, he did not make it.
Wow. Okay. I have a problem with that.
The centers, Creed Humphrey and Tyler Linderbaum.
So I think people know this, but especially interior O linemen, so many times, like Miners is a perfect example. He should go, And then
they have no stats.
They have no stats.
Yeah.
It takes them a year before they actually get in, and then sometimes they hang around a year or two too
Forever.
long. Like Nelson's not one of the top 3 or 4 guards in the league right at this moment.
No.
He's kind of there in name. I would have taken Frazier over Linderbaum, by the way.
Yeah, I think he's a better player.
Mm-hmm. I was, just for reference, I was listening to Brandon Thorne and Duke Merriweather these are my
Offensive lineman experts.
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 Merriweather is, people go pay him to go to his, the professional linemen go to his camp and his instruction. And they went through their Pro Bowl offensive line team. They went 3 deep, just who's my third left tackle. Zach Frazier was their number 2 center.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had Linderbaum as their 3, but they said Frazier is, Creed Humphrey's 1 and Frazier's 2, even with the missed time.
On the defensive side of the ball, your ends, Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, Max Crosby.
Okay.
Your defensive tackles, Cam Heyward, Chris Jones, Nnamdi Madubuike.
I feel like there's somebody.
Yeah, the guy in Denver.
Yeah, that's bad. I assume Benito's going to be called a linebacker.
Yes.
Like Watt. I hate that part too. But Allen absolutely.
Zach Allen's had a.
He's knocking on the door with those top.
Zach Allen or Josh Allen? Zach, yeah.
Yeah. He's phenomenal.
He's been better than Madubuike.
Yes, he's been better than maybe every defensive tackle except those other 2.
Outside linebackers, Nick Benito, T.J. Watt, Khalil Mack.
That's quality. I got no problem with that.
Inside middle linebackers, Roquan Smith and Zaire Franklin.
No and no.
I'm with you.
No and no. So we talked a lot of Ravens week, and I didn't know this then, but I know it now. We talked about all the changes that the Ravens have made in terms of Simpson got benched and Humphrey's going to slot, and we know all the different role changes. Well, one of the things they did was they only let Roquan call the defense for the front 7 now because he wasn't doing it well. That's part of your job. You're the green dot guy. He handled all the 11 calls until they made those changes because he wasn't doing it well. And he hasn't had a great year. And plus, Franklin's just a tackle machine.
Zaire Franklin.
Whoever the Colts scorer is hands out tackles.
The NFL
Right.
put out a tweet today on the X Twitter. Zaire Franklin can Zaire Franklin lead the league in tackles? Well, first of all, NFL, you don't recognize tackles
it's a
as
stat, right?
an official statistic. You don't.
Yeah.
So why are you pumping this up as something that you look at because you don't recognize it?
Yeah.
Because you understand, the league understands that
it's willy-nilly, right?
Willy-nilly.
Yeah.
That every scorekeeper in every different stadium looks at it differently.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that the Colts have 5 of the league's top 10 tacklers and they're not padding stats.
Like Leonard was a great player, but he was always at the top of the league. And then the linebacker next to him, whoever it was always like right behind him too.
It's an awful defense.
Right. And you're making him downfield. And right.
He's a fine player.
He's a starter.
But he's not one of the top 2 linebackers in the.
It's one of the weaker positions, especially in the AFC. I'm sitting here scanning the league right now. The 2 that should be on there ahead of him for sure are Brooks, the former first-round pick, who's now a Dolphin, Jordan Brooks, and what's his face, the Chargers' young pup. I don't know why I always forget his name, but he's a really good player too. First-year guy or second-year guy.
Anyways.
Yeah. I have to look that up.
At cornerback.
Okay.
Derek Stingley.
Good.
Patrick Surtain.
Good.
Marlon Humphrey. Denzel Ward.
Pretty solid. Yeah. I'm cool with that.
Free safety is Minka Fitzpatrick.
Sauce Gardner has not had that kind of year, that's for sure.
The strong safeties.
Deion Henley's his name. I was trying to get from the Chargers. Sorry.
The strong safeties, Kyle Hamilton and Derwin James.
Derwin's back to playing well. Yeah.
The long snapper, Ross Matasic from the Jaguars. The punter, Logan Cook from the Jaguars.
Yeah, they punt a lot.
Boswell, the place kicker. Return specialist, Marvin Mims. And the special teams player, Brent Schooler from the New England Patriots.
Okay. Killebrew's gotten that before.
Here's my issue with this whole thing. The team that led all teams in the NFL in Pro Bowl votes or Pro Bowl players.
Yeah.
The Baltimore Ravens with 9.
Sure.
9.
So who all were they? There was Lamar.
You got
Henry,
Ricard, Zay Flowers, Linderbaum, Matabuke, Roquan Smith, Marlon Humphrey, and Kyle Hamilton.
Okay.
So
I would say
one of those guys is widely being considered the MVP of the league, Lamar Jackson.
Right in the mix, right.
Okay. How in the hell do you lose 5 games if you got 9 Pro Bowlers? You got 4 more Pro Bowlers than the Detroit Lions. You got like 5 more Pro Bowlers than the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
Your guy's supposed to be the MVP of the league? Josh Allen. The Bills have 2.
They have 2.
And one of them's Josh Allen, and people are questioning who the MVP of the league is.
They have Dawkins as their only other
Deion Dawkins is the only
Smith,
other.
the right tackle, should have went. Now that I'm thinking about it, too. He definitely should have gone.
He's
and
the only other
A couple of
guy.
those Ravens shouldn't have gone.
If I'm voting on the MVP award, I'm looking at this going, okay. And you'll have Steeler fans who will tell you with a straight face that John Harbaugh is a better coach than Mike Tomlin.
I think he's got a better roster than the Bills or Steelers.
That's what we're saying here.
Right.
He's got 9 Pro Bowl players, including a guy who's a 2-time MVP and might win it again this year, and they've got 5 losses.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, doesn't mean they should be undefeated. And
No.
Roquan's not playing like a Pro Bowler, and I don't think Zay Flowers is a Pro Bowler. And, I mean, I see what you're saying.
But they made it.
I see what you're saying. I mean, their roster's phenomenal and should be. I don't know. Are you implying that they underachieved this year?
I'm saying it's one or the other. Either they underachieved or they shouldn't have had 9 Pro Bowlers.
Yeah, that's where I'm
Which
on.
one is it?
Right. And it's probably somewhere in between.
And is Lamar really the MVP based
I think he's
on
the runner-up.
having 9 Pro Bowl players on your roster, including 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on offense?
Yeah. Mark Andrews probably wasn't far off. I'm not sure that he had a worse
Oh,
year
I'm sure.
than Kelsey.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else went, I get your point. I mean,
and you could make you could probably make a stronger argument for the left tackle, Ronnie Stanley, making this list.
yeah.
Than,
One of the tackles that did go wasn't great.
Yeah.
I forget who it was.
Than Matabuke.
Yeah, agreed. And Andrews, I think, is in that category too. I still think Lamar is neck and neck with Allen. And I said this last time we were on the air. I would still pick Allen. I think he's
If I'm voting and I'm looking
ahead.
at this, I'm going, well, Allen did a hell of a lot more with less.
He did, and I think that's undeniable. I mean, I think there's no question about that. I don't know that this has been a disappointing year for the Ravens, though.
Not yet.
Right. I mean, losing the Raiders
they're
is
the
bad.
3 seed.
Right.
They lost to the Raiders. They lost to the Browns. People want to kill Mike Tomlin for losing to the Browns. Well, so did these guys.
Just curious, what team was the second most?
I believe it was in the NFC, and
Eagles, maybe?
the Lions had 7. The
Lions
Vikings
had
had 6. Eagles had 6. Kansas City had 5. Dallas had 5.
Dallas had 5. Parsons go? Must have.
We'll buzz through the NFC here real quick. So looking at the NFC,
NFC quarterbacks aren't as
pretty bleak.
pretty light, yeah.
Over in the NFC, you got let's see here. It's got to flip on me here. NFC, you got quarterbacks Jared Goff, Jaden Daniel, Sam Darnold.
Those are the 3.
Okay.
Baker's probably kind of not happy about it, but I get it.
Running back, you got Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs, Josh Jacobs.
Hard to argue with that. Okay.
Kyron Williams would have a pretty good argument.
Yeah. Those 3 are all deserving, though. I don't think any of them are a miss.
Bijan Robinson.
Bijan should be in the top 3.
Yeah. Fullback is, of course, Kyle Juszczyk, future Hall of Famer, apparently. Wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, and Terry McLaurin.
Pretty good group. I mean, Mike Evans has a shot. I mean, there's others.
He missed
some
games,
time,
yeah.
right?
Tight end, George Kittle, Trey McBride.
Yeah. I think Kittle's had the best year of any tight end.
Offensive tackles, Lane Johnson, Penei Sewell, Tristan Wirfs.
That's home runs.
2 right tackles, though.
Yeah,
Look at that.
yeah.
Offensive guard, Landon Dickerson, Tyler Smith, Chris Lindstrom.
Okay.
The centers are Frank Ragnow and Cam Jurgens.
Okay, I'll take that. That's fine. It's not great, but fine.
Defensively, Nick Bosa, defensive end. Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary. Call him
Gary's
Parsons
a bit of a stretch.
Call him Parsons a DN, too.
Yeah. He's been awesome since he's been back, but he just hasn't played many games.
Interior lineman, Jalen Carter, Dexter Lawrence, Vita Vea.
Vea's had a much better year than people realize.
Outside backers, Jonathan Greenard, Andrew Van Ginkel, Jared Verse.
Okay. Van Ginkel's put up crazy numbers.
Middle linebacker, Fred Warner, Zach Bond.
Good. I'm glad Bond made it.
Cornerbacks, Jalen Johnson, Byron Murphy, J.C. Horn, Devin Witherspoon.
It's a good group. Okay.
Free
I'm
safety.
sure there's some snubs I'm missing, but I don't think any of these names are horrible.
Free safety is Xavier McKinney.
Yeah.
Strong safety.
I don't know how they decipher between free and strong anymore either.
It's a little tough.
Right. Defense in general can be a little gray.
Buda Baker and Brian Branch.
Yeah. I'm fine with those guys. I mean, they do it all.
Long snapper Andrew DePaulo from the Vikings. Punter Jack Fox from the Lions. He never has to punt.
Yeah.
Place kicker
good.
Brandon Aubrey. Return specialist Cavante Turpin. And special
that's
teamer.
where the Cowboys are coming in. Those two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then special teamer Kadero Hodge from the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay. I mean, I got much comment on the specialists other than Aubrey and Turpin. Those two are very deserving in the NFC.
Yeah.
And that's where all the Cowboys came in. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where we're at. But again,
I'm sure there's a lot of snubs that I need to dig into, but it's always an inexact science, to say the least.
yeah. If you think Minka Fitzpatrick was having a bad season, the coaches and players in the league would disagree.
I wonder, too, like, did Ravens fans come out more than any other?
Yeah.
You know, like,
They
is that something that they're known
They
for?
do that every year. Yeah.
Okay.
They were one of the most heavily
Good
voted
for them, yeah. But
between them and the Lions, and that's why they ended up with 7 each.
Mm-hmm.
So
is that something that happens year after year, though, that they vote heavier than most fan bases?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got to work harder at that, Steeler fans. Anyways, let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and you're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. And, of course, you can hear The Drive every Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m., and we will continue this throughout the playoffs and into the offseason.
Till further notice.
Yeah, we'll let you know when we're not going to be doing 5 days a week, but for the time being, it looks like 5 days a week from now until the start of free agency, and by that time, we'll be talking all kinds of draft stuff at that point.
We're going to the Senior Bowl. We got a lot of stuff on tap.
Senior Bowl, we always do the Combine.
Yeah.
Owners meetings.
Georgia Notre Dame's going on as we speak. I mean, there's draft stuff going on around the world, too, so I'm kind of psyched to dig into this draft.
Absolutely. Matt, we're getting some more clarity on who's in and who's out this weekend. It looks like Josh Allen is going to start the game because he's got a streak. He's got a streak going, so they're going to play their guys and get them the heck out of there.
Okay.
Also hearing news out of New England that there's a potential that their backup, the kid out of Florida from last year. Tennessee, Milton.
Yeah.
Milton.
He did some good things in the preseason.
He's been running with the ones a little bit this week.
Okay.
Because I guess,
May's taking a beating this
May's
year.
banged up.
Yeah, I would not. If there's anything wrong with May, and I bet there's 6 things wrong with him with the punishment he's taken, and you get to see him. I mean, maybe somebody offers you a pick from Milton or, whatever.
Yeah, so there's that. There's reports out of Cleveland that Bailey Zappi is going to get the start.
Play too. So no wonder the line is where it is. I mean,
It's moved up to 19 points.
Yeah, I say it's probably going up.
How about this? I saw this. Somebody put this out that when Cleveland went 0-16 a few years ago, at no point were they more than a 13-point underdog.
So this is even big by those standards. I assume. Does Myles Garrett play?
Yeah, because he's trying to win he's got to win the sack title for the first time in his career.
I mean, he has 2 bad feet and he has a broken collarbone.
But it's all about.
Maybe they just put him out there like on third dates or something. I don't know. I mean, if you're going to play Bailey,
collarbone.
That's what I heard today. I know he's got both feet need some sort of surgical attention too. He's got all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah, I don't know. Watching Hard Knocks
how far off
last
is
week,
he from the sack leader?
He's tied. He and Henderson.
Oh,
are
him
tied.
and Henderson both at 14.
Yeah,
low year.
It is a low year,
very much
because everybody's getting the ball out quickly,
and a lot of guys have gotten hurt too and missed time. Yeah, Hutchinson was leading the lead.
Yeah. Saquon Barkley not going to get an opportunity to break the all-time rushing record.
I kind of have mixed feelings about it. I mean, there are things in this lifetime that are historic that you should just try for. You know what I mean? And it's also probably not the smart move. I mean, because if you're going to do that, that means Lane Johnson's playing and Mulata, and you know what I mean?
He needs 100 yards, too. It's not like he needs
not
30 or 40.
Right.
Like he can get him out of there after the first quarter.
And unlike some records, he set a nice milestone just last week, too.
Yeah.
He hit 2,000s, pretty special year.
Some people are like, oh, well, he didn't do it in 16 games. Here's the thing.
He hit 2,000.
He had 40 less carries than Dickerson had when he broke it in 16 or set the record in 16 games.
Really?
Saquon has 40 fewer carries.
That doesn't surprise me. As run heavy as the league was back then.
Yeah.
And the Eagles are the run heaviest team in the league.
Yeah.
And still.
Well, he doesn't get any of those.
Well, I mean, hard to say some,
any of the
sure,
short
right?
yardage stuff and all that. Like,
yeah.
How many more yards would he have if they just 3rd and 1 from the 50? Let's give it to Saquon. Maybe he busts it for 50 yards, and he would have he'd probably be a lot closer to the record right now.
Yeah, maybe. If I were the head coach, I probably would have went, "Hey Saquon, how important is this to you?" And he'd have to make a pretty strong case for me to put him out there.
I would also ask the offensive line, "Hey, offensive line, how important is this to you guys?"
Going to be my next question.
Yeah,
and then you bring in
because it's
Lane
important
Johnson.
to them too.
Yeah, I mean, like Dickerson's line was super proud of it, as they should be, and all those things too. I get both sides.
I do too. I mean, you certainly don't want Saquon Barkley to get hurt because it would be a little bit different if you already had a bye. If you were the number 1 seed.
Oh, then I think you'd go for it.
Yeah.
I mean,
because then you'd have a week off to rest as long as he doesn't tear his ACL or something like that. There's probably a good chance even if he sprains an ankle, he's going to be out there.
So I assume they're sitting everyone.
Yeah.
I mean,
as many as you can.
Does McKee start? Have they even mentioned that stuff?
I would assume so because Kenny Pickett's hurt.
Yeah, I assume.
So
McKee's
that's
not terrible, by the way.
That's what you're looking at there.
I wouldn't think AJ Brown goes out there. A lot of those guys.
How about this last one for the hour here? Dan Campbell said that the game this week against the Vikings, while important, it's not like it's a playoff game or something. Dan, you can't have it both ways, Dan.
Yeah.
Because you treated last week's game against the 49ers like it was a playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're saying, well, if we lose this game, it's not the end of the world. It isn't, but it kind of is because you dropped to the 5 seed. Now you're going to have to go on the road throughout the entire playoffs.
I was going to say, this is a substantial loss, especially if you're them. I mean,
you've been on top all season long.
You were a Final Four team, and really them and the Vikings are the exact same spot. But the perception's different.
Absolutely.
I mean, one was expected to be here.
This is Carl Lewis leading the race the whole way around, and then somebody comes up with the final kick, a closing kick, and beats you.
Yeah, maybe because you pushed too hard.
Except you don't get a silver medal. You fall to 5th. You don't get a medal at all.
Right, and there's no guarantee they win in Tampa.
No.
I mean, after a loss, and you got to go right away, and you've had to bye forever. I would probably bet on the Bucs plus 7.5 at home or whatever against the Lions in round 1.
That's huge, huge game.
Yeah.
I mean, he can try to downplay it as much as he wants to his team.
Yeah, but that's not his style either. It sounds like he's coaching on both sides of his mouth.
Yeah, it's kind of a strange one. But
I really respect him as a coach, but I still think he's pedal the metal too much. I just think that
we'll see if it comes back to burn him. They have never, or I should say, since the 1970 merger, the Detroit Lions have not won back-to-back division championships in their since. I mean,
that's not surprising.
Yeah.
That's really terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, division's been good, but it hasn't been phenomenal either.
I mean, you had the Packers for a while.
Yeah,
and,
but I mean, like over the Super Bowl era, I wouldn't say it's the best division out there.
No,
it wasn't a Patriot level.
I mean, it was the Vikings in the 70s.
Yeah,
and then the Packers got good in the late
mid-'80s. Bears were good, but they had a lot of down years too.
Yeah, So, and it's the Bears. The Bears history. If you throw out all the Papa Bear Hallis stuff,
it's pretty bad.
It's pretty bleak.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, if it's not for the Ditka, and that was only a couple of years.
They won 1 Super Bowl. Yeah. People talk about that like it was some kind of dynasty.
Right,
they won 1.
Like all their Hall of Famers since the Hallis era were on those teams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, anyways, let's get to a break. That's going to do it for hour number 1 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with hour number 2 right after this. And we are back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And, it's the top of the hour here, hour number 2. And usually we do a little fantasy football here, but change things up a little bit here.
Mix it up a little bit, right. Such a weird fantasy week.
It really is, and there's no sense in talking
so many teams
a ton about it.
Talking about, right.
So let's get into a little draft conversation here.
Okay.
On the 33rd team, Ian Valentino has put together a little first-round mock draft here. Let's see where we're at here.
Stuff that could shake up the top of the draft, though, this week.
Absolutely. So right now the Patriots have the number 1 overall pick. Now I don't expect them to
I'd be
utilize
fielding offers like crazy.
the number 1 pick.
Right. They want quarterbacks to shine. Yeah.
This is where it's going to get interesting for, say, the Browns, who are in 3 spot right now. I could see them wanting to draft a quarterback.
For sure.
But are they going to be willing to move up to get said quarterback to the number 1 spot? Because
I think somebody only takes one, and I think there will be. And when we go through this top 8, 10, whatever, there's 6-ish teams that need quarterbacks, and it sounds like there's only 2 that have any chance to go in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
You could get quite a bit, I think, for the first pick.
Yeah.
Even though there's not a great quarterback prospect.
So he has the Patriots taking Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan.
That surprises me because, everyone has Hunter being the first position player, and they could use a receiver and a corner.
Hunter's going to be an interesting...
Really strange.
Because there's some talk already that he's going to want to be paid like he's a wide receiver, like he's a 2-position player.
Well, he doesn't have any options. It's not up to him until he's...
Right, until he gets a second contract.
Now, right, yeah.
But does that factor into the, does he hold out? Does he...
I don't know.
Try to get more money? I don't know. I don't know.
The answer to the questions I just don't have yet because I haven't done enough research are, if you compare him to all the receivers in this draft, is he number 1? If you compare him to all the corners, is he number 1?
Wide receivers, I don't think so.
Some people think yes to both. Some people think he's top
cornerback,
2 or 3.
Yes.
The Michigan kid is the other one that they think could be, and it sounds like if he's going to lean one way or the other, it's more corner with some receiver as opposed to the other way around, which makes sense. But corner's a full-time job. They don't go in and out,
Right.
It's going to be interesting.
It's different in the NFL than it is playing in Colorado, too. The Tennessee Titans are sitting right now at 2. They take Cam Ward, the quarterback out of Miami.
I don't know how they would pass on a quarterback unless they happen to sign Darnold or do something goofy
They'd have
like
to do
Rodgers
something
or Cousins or something like that.
So that leaves the Browns at 3 taking Shedeur Sanders.
We'll talk about this a ton, but there's not enough quarterbacks to go around to fill the musical chairs at all right now.
Definitely not.
And the Browns, I don't think Sanders will last till 3. I'm not saying he should or shouldn't, but I'm sure they'd run to the podium.
Well, here's the thing, though. Jalen Milroe from Alabama just said today he declared for the draft.
Oh, really?
So he's going at 4 to the New York Giants.
Okay. I can't believe he'd go that high. What I've seen of him, upside's immense.
He has the most upside of any quarterback in this draft in terms of the athletic ability. He can throw the football.
Be patient.
But you're going to have to be patient.
Real patient. I didn't know he declared.
He's not as raw as Anthony Richardson.
No, I was going to compare the two, and I didn't on purpose for that reason,
But he's not as polished as Lamar Jackson.
Oh, no.
He might be a similar athlete as Lamar Jackson.
Boy, is he fast.
Yeah.
He's wow fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that Lamar wasn't or Richardson, but wow, Milroe can fly.
At 5.
But he's going to get pushed up.
Yeah.
He's going to go higher than he should.
Yeah. At 5, Jacksonville takes Travis Hunter.
That'd be great for them.
Yeah.
They need both, but he would be the number 2 corner and he'd be the number 2 receiver, which is great.
At 6, Carolina takes Abdul Carter, the edge rusher out of Penn State.
I would expect it to be a very heavy defensive draft for them.
At 7, the Jets take James Pierce Jr., the edge rusher out of Tennessee.
There's a lot of directions they could go.
They need a lot.
They don't have the depth on the D-line that they usually do. Some of these teams, who's the defensive coordinator? Who's the head coach? Who's the GM?
Yeah.
They don't have any of those answers
yet.
Right.
Yeah, they have none of that. They don't have a head coach. They don't have a GM.
Right.
It's all empty right now.
Even like them, Reed, the second corner, is a free agent. Well, if he leaves,
now
you're
cornerback
drafting Will
becomes
Johnson there or whatever.
Right.
Right.
At 8, Vegas takes Tedoroa McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Widely regarded as a top receiver. And he might be a better receiver than Hunter. I don't know that
He's
answer.
huge.
He's huge.
Yeah.
Mike Evans type.
Yeah.
Where did he end up in the draft?
8 to the Raiders.
Raiders. Oh, okay.
At 9, Chicago takes, but they need a quarterback.
I know. 3 are already gone.
Yeah.
The musical chairs are bad for these top 10 quarterback teams.
At 9, Chicago takes Kelvin Banks Jr., the offensive tackle out of Texas.
Good. If they don't take a big person early, I would be very grumpy with them. Yeah.
At 10, New Orleans takes Will Johnson, the cornerback from Michigan.
They took Kool-Aid last year, and they got a couple other dudes. I would think it'd be offense. Not quarterback, because there isn't one.
Yeah.
But, okay. Some of these mocks, though, you just don't want a really good player to fall.
Right, out of the top 10, yeah. At 11, the 49ers take Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle out of Ole Miss.
So this is going to be another big guy draft.
I really like him.
Yeah. He
would be a good Steeler
trait.
Yeah,
absolutely. 5-star recruit and looks the part. I would think the Niners are definitely taking
big
a big
motor
person.
guy.
Yeah,
has the size.
I say just let Cam hang out with him for 2 years.
Yeah. At 12, Indianapolis takes Jalen Walker, the edge rusher linebacker out of Georgia.
Okay, I mean they've invested a lot of edge rushers lately, though. Pay and this past year,
Defense still stinks.
Yeah, it still stinks. They should change defensive coordinators.
Yeah. At 13, Dallas takes Ashton Genty, the running back out of Boise State. That's like the one that everybody mocks now.
Joe Alt of the Titans last year. I mean, there was like 2 or 3 of them. That's because no one else is going to do it. Or no one else has the running back.
The thing is, I don't
think he's going to go there.
This is a really deep running back draft. He might fall.
He might fall significantly.
Yeah.
Plus, the dude, I mean, what's his face was okay. I mean,
right.
if you paired
Dowdell
him with a third round with Rico Dowdell, if you paired him with a third round, 225-pound guy,
pair him with the Arizona State kid. You know?
Right. That's plenty. The other thing is, people don't think about this from the Cowboys' perspective. The Cowboys are a very analytically driven. They have a very expensive analytics department that isn't going to say running back the first round is a good idea.
Yeah, just because they did it 8 years ago with Zeke.
Right.
Yeah,
it's not the same people making decisions, really.
At 14, Arizona takes Kenneth Grant, the defensive tackle from Michigan.
I think we'll talk about him with the Steelers a fair amount too. More than nose, massive human being, all those things. Vita Vea type.
15, Miami takes Siobhan Revel Jr., cornerback from East Carolina.
That would make some sense. Ramsey's getting up in age too.
Cincinnati at 16 takes Luther Burden, the wide receiver out of Missouri. I don't see that.
Well, I assume Higgins goes.
Even so.
I mean, the defense is
You got to start,
Right. Their O-line needs help, too.
Yosivas is fine.
I guess.
As your number 2.
They're going to have a lot of needs when the first round rolls around, though.
But Burrow's at the age now where you should expect your quarterback to elevate whoever's around him.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got maybe the best wide receiver in the league. Do you really need another first-round wide receiver just to make Joe? Here you go. Stay happy.
Worked well.
Defense is going to stink, but you'll be fine.
I think we talked about this last time the Steelers played the Bengals too. There's 5 or 6 of their defensive starters that are getting cut. Not let alone the ones they need, but they're going to be losing some dudes for cap space, and they're going to end up with a lot of cap space.
At 17, Atlanta takes Mike Green, the edge rusher out of Marshall.
Atlanta looking for edge pass rush.
Shocking.
Yeah, for the last
every year,
2 decades, yeah.
Rinse, lather, and repeat. Okay, Seattle at 18 takes Ariante Ursary, the offensive tackle out of Minnesota.
They should definitely go O-line. Maybe put him at guard for a year or whatever, but yeah, they should go O-line.
At 19, Houston takes Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State. I can never pronounce that one right.
I can't either. O-line's a real problem for them, too. But Diggs is up after this year, and if Dell's injury's bad.
I wonder if they let Diggs walk, though, because they give up a second-round pick to get him.
I don't know what they'll do with that. And I also can't comment on how bad is Dell. Is he going to be ready for camp?
Yeah.
I don't know. But O-line is a need.
At 20, Denver takes Trey Harris, the wide receiver out of Ole Miss. This is not setting up well for the Steelers, for example, to take a wide receiver. It is, however, we had 3 defensive tackles taken?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Both Michigan dudes and Nolan. Yeah, the Broncos could definitely go receiver. I think Peyton's I know he has. He's drafted every year he's been there. Mims is starting to come around.
At 21, Tampa Bay takes Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State.
Maybe, but the other dude, Otten's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, their offense was much stronger than their defense
this year. Warren's a good player.
He's a good player.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he shouldn't go there. Their defense could use more reinforcements, though.
At 22, the Chargers take Shamar Stewart, the defensive tackle from Texas A&M.
They've gotten a lot out of the guys they have, but they're kind of journeyman types.
Yeah. 23, the Rams take Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle out of Ohio State.
Yeah, Havenstein's getting old, and they're starting to really invest in their offensive line. I would think back 7, though, makes more sense for their defense.
At 24, the Packers take Nick Scourton, edge rusher out of Texas A&M. Calling him an edge is kind of – I don't think
Big
that's –
edge. Yeah.
I don't think that's his true – I would play him inside, or I'd play him as a 3-4 end.
Could see that. Van Ness isn't exactly an edge bender either.
No.
Yeah. But they almost always draft defense in the first round.
At 25, he has the Steelers taking Caleb Johnson, the running back out of Iowa.
I would not approve of that. I like the player. Great fit, big physical. I think there's a very good chance Najee's not back, but you'd have a hard time convincing me to take a running back in the first round in this draft in particular.
At 26, the Commanders take Isaiah Bond, the wide receiver out of Texas.
And I'm not saying he's the perfect fit for the Steelers either. He's kind of on the smaller side than what I'm looking for.
Yeah, he's 5'11", 180, but he can fly.
I don't think they're going to be in that market. Yeah. He's a burner. Where did he end up going?
To the Commanders at 26.
Yeah, they need another one.
27, the Ravens take Will Campbell, the offensive lineman out of LSU.
Been a little disappointing. Yeah, right.
28, the Eagles take Jonah I can't pronounce this one either. Sivanea, the offensive lineman out of Arizona.
To the Eagles?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, they always take a lineman before they need them.
29, the Bills take Michael Williams, the edge rusher out of Georgia.
They have a lot of
edge.
Yeah, they've invested a lot of those guys, but Rousseau's really the only one that's really hit.
At 30, the Vikings take Trey Amos, the cornerback out of Ole Miss.
Byron Murphy's had a really good year for them, and he's a free agent. And I think Gilmore's only on a one-year deal.
That would make some sense for the Steelers, too.
Yeah. It looks like a decent corner draft, too. There's some guys with size that should be there in the 20s, too.
At 31, the Lions take Princely. Here we go again. I haven't watched Ole Miss. I watched Ole Miss once this year.
Yeah.
On a TV where there was no sound, if you catch my drift. And so Princely Malin, edge rusher out of Ole Miss.
And that's to the Lions?
To the Lions.
Yeah, they're looking for a compliment for Hutchinson.
Yeah. And then at 32, the Kansas City Chiefs take Malachi Starks, the safety out of Georgia.
People talk about him like he's one of the best players in the draft. I mean, like he's a Kyle Hamilton type prospect, but who's willing to take a safety super high?
Yeah.
I'm sure Kansas City would be glad to do it, though.
There's some good safeties in this draft.
Yeah, it looks like it.
I like the kid from Notre Dame, too, that got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good player.
Yeah, they have a corner, too.
Yeah, he got hurt, too.
Yeah,
so that's kind of why Notre Dame's a little banged up right now.
Yeah, they're playing as we speak.
But this is a good defensive tackle draft. It's a good running back draft.
Very.
I don't know that the wide receivers are as deep as they have been in some recent years.
It's always never going to be lacking.
Yeah.
I mean, that position's always plentiful, but I don't think it's going to be get McConkey in the early second round, that type of thing. I mean, like this draft, this rookie class is ridiculous. Weak at quarterback. O-line seems okay, but interior's particularly bad. It's a really bad center draft, which is nice you got one last year, obviously.
And you got an interior lineman last year, too.
Looks like some tight ends could go in the first 2 days.
Yeah.
Michigan kid, there's a couple of them that are interesting. Edge seems pretty good. D-tackle seems real good.
Yeah.
D-tackle and running backs where I keep coming
There's
back
some
to.
interesting body types, too, at the defense. You could go one way or the other. You could go for a true end, like the kid from Arkansas.
Yeah.
He's like 6'7", 290.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
right. You could find a use for that guy.
Yeah.
Right.
You can find a way to play that.
Mm-hmm. But I would love to dip my toe in the D-tackle and running back markets pretty high.
Yeah.
And running back doesn't
cornerback as well.
Corner as well.
Yeah.
And it looks like a good corner draft.
Yeah. So that might be the way the Steelers go this year.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking at things
need
early
to
here.
Yeah, we just need to start getting on top of that stuff.
And
right.
if you're looking for a true nose, you can get those guys in the third and fourth rounds.
Oh yeah, that are pretty much starters.
Yeah, I mean that's where you found Javon Hargrave.
Yeah, good point.
And he contributed early. So if you want to move Keanu Benton to end and draft a young nose tackle,
there's one spot for a D lineman probably. I don't think you get both in this draft.
Maybe.
It's Lowry on a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
Louder milks up.
Yeah.
Not that those guys would prohibit you from taking a great player, of course, but
if it falls that way, it falls that way.
Ogunjobi's up.
Yeah. If it falls that way, it falls that way.
Mm-hmm. I'm always in favor of big people.
Big people.
Yeah.
And again, if you can move, if that's the
would be
move, you move Benton to a defensive end, and you draft a nose tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, I totally get it. Right. If he has some pass rush.
You still have Montravius Adams that you can play in there.
Sure. And I don't know if Ogunjobi will be back or not. Who knows?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's where we're at right now as we sit here on January 2nd. We haven't dug completely into this yet. really in preliminary research on all this
yeah.
stuff.
I'm just learning the names and that type of thing.
I'm learning
too.
how to pronounce them.
That's
Jeez,
always
every
interesting,
year.
too. Every year is brutal.
I got a new mouth this year too. This does not make this any easier. Like, come on,
Just
people.
meeting these guys. I mean,
We're the John Smiths at,
90% of these dudes I've read about and not listened to, or had someone talk about.
Even when I'm like watching tape of guys, I'm not listening to. I'm like listening to the tape. I'm watching the tape.
Mm-hmm.
It gets a little tough, and I'm not like Rob, where Rob has to. I got to go find out the pronunciation of this exact name. Like
he's a real nerd about that.
he is. He's a real nerd. Period. But anyways,
yeah.
Sword in the Stone. Yeah. Let's get to another break. That's going to do it for the Ian Valentino mock draft first round.
Well, that adds up
on January 1st here. That will obviously change a lot here over the few coming weeks, and we'll dig even more into this. Time we get to the Senior Bowl, and at the end of this month, we'll
be on top
have
of
a
those
really
guys,
good
right?
idea of a lot of different guys here. We'll get to talk to some of them down there. But he is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. Welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and accept no imitations. And this is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. And Matt, thought we'd take a look here at the efficiency ratings now on ESPN.
Okay.
After with one game left for everybody at this point, right now Detroit still number one.
And they put a lot of money in the bank, throughout the course of the season. But I don't know if they're playing. I don't think they're the best team in the league or playing like the best team in the league.
They're no longer number one in offense, which is kind of surprising.
Who's past them? Baltimore.
Baltimore's moved back into number one on offense.
Okay. I am surprised Detroit's not one on offense. I thought the defense would drag them down. Interesting.
They're 12th
they're
on
still a really good team.
12th on defense, second in special teams.
Okay.
The Steelers are first.
Are they?
Yeah.
I didn't realize Detroit was so strong on teams.
Number 2 is Buffalo.
They must be well-rounded, though.
Third on offense, 11th on defense, 13th on special teams.
I don't think their defense is great either, though.
No, you can run on them.
You can run on them. They're not super physical, live in nickel. Okay.
Minnesota's 3, 10th on offense, first on defense, 9th on special teams.
Okay. I think that passes a sniff test to me.
As much as they're first on defense, though, you can throw on them.
No, I don't think there's a great defense in the league right now.
Yeah. It's
superb
really tough
defense.
to play defense in the NFL.
It is. I'm not sure that'd even be my one, but they'd be top 3 or 4. Denver's really good.
Philadelphia is 4.
I think Philly's playing like the best defense lately.
4th on offense, 2nd on defense, 23rd on special teams.
Didn't realize special teams was something that's an issue for them, but okay.
The Ravens are 5th. First on offense, 14th on defense, 29th on special teams.
Defense at least is climbing back, but it's shocking about the teams.
Yeah.
A lot of that's Tucker.
Then you have Kansas City, 9th on offense, 8th on defense, 12th on special teams.
Pretty solid. I think the offense is getting better and better.
The Packers come in after that, 8th on offense, 7th on defense, 14th on special teams.
You'll take it. Still a little bit of star power lacking.
Then the Chargers.
I bet their defense is high.
11th on offense, 5th on defense, 11th on special teams.
The 11th on offense doesn't quite pass a sniff test.
It does not, no.
I mean, I would say it's average. I wouldn't say it's above average.
Yeah. The Commanders then are next, 6th on offense, 19th on defense, 10th on special teams.
Their defense would really worry me for a playoff run. And I'm also not sure that the offense is going to be the 6th best offense in the playoffs.
Either, yeah. When you're playing good people and
right. I mean, how well do you run the ball over and over? And then I'm not talking about the Daniels stuff, just pure running.
Pure
game.
running, like when you line up to run the football.
And like we just did that mock, they took another receiver. And you're like, Zacchaeus is a good player. He's been impressive to me, but if that's your number 2 receiver, it's like that's a little lacking for a playoff caliber team.
Tampa Bay next at 10.
They're going to be heavy on offense.
7th on offense, 22nd on defense, 3rd on special teams. You'd think their offense might be higher than that.
Yeah, I thought it'd be even higher. I thought it'd be like top 5, and I thought the defense might even be lower.
Like the way their offense is playing, like if we were going to rank the offenses how they're playing right now,
pretty strong.
It'd be pretty good.
It'd be up there. I guess one thing about the defense I didn't consider is there's just so many garbage teams that if you're 22nd and you're a playoff caliber team, there's 8 that are just horrendous. Right.
Then you have the Steelers, 18th on offense, 6th on defense, first
Still
on
6th,
special
okay.
teams.
And first on teams.
Yeah.
Okay. Got to get that offense up. Defense needs to get back to where it was. But these things are all capable.
Yeah. Then you have Denver.
Their defense has to be really high.
19th on offense, 3rd on defense, 5th on special teams.
Okay. Well coached.
So they're worse on offense, a little bit better on defense, and worse on special teams.
I don't love their offense, but I would have thought it was a little higher than that.
Cincinnati then comes in next, 5th on offense, 29th on defense, and 18th in special teams.
That tells the whole story.
Yeah.
It's exactly where they're at.
Then you have Houston,
I like their defense a lot.
22nd on offense.
It might be the most disappointing offense in the league.
22nd.
When you look at, like-
people are complaining about the Steelers' offense.
Yeah.
Houston's offense is 22nd.
When you look at like preseason expectations and where they were
It's
a
not
year
22nd.
ago, and you added Diggs, and it's
Supposed to be a top 10 offense.
right. And there's been some
You added
injuries, but
Mixon.
that's not the
Yeah.
You can't just blame injuries.
What
What were they on defense?
I say? 4th on defense, 15th on special teams.
Okay, I do like their defense a lot.
The Rams, 13th on offense, 18th on defense, 25th on special teams. I would have thought their offense would be a little higher.
Mm-hmm.
But they've had some.
I would say I think if you just did the splits of when Nakua, Cup, Williams, Stafford are out there,
It's probably
and
much better.
It's near the top, but more so than most teams.
Seattle is 16th, 21st on
I
offense,
bet D's pretty good.
9th on defense, 19th on teams.
Leonard Williams is a name I was thinking of that should have been Pro Bowler, didn't get. I think he should have went for sure.
So if we were ranking the playoff teams,
Mm-hmm.
you got Detroit, Buffalo, Minnesota, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Kansas City, Green Bay. The Chargers are in. Washington is in.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh is in. Houston is in. The Rams are in.
Okay.
Well, we got just a couple of spots left, right?
We do not have an NFC South winner.
We don't know that yet. Tampa Bay right now is 10th in power rankings.
So we have.
Or in their
Where's
efficiency.
Atlanta? We haven't
efficiency
even mentioned
rankings.
them yet.
Atlanta is 18th.
What are their splits? I bet their D's pretty bad.
15th on offense, 20th on defense, 27th on special teams.
Ooh. A team like that shouldn't be bad on special teams. I don't know. I mean, a young coaching staff, I guess. But is that the only remaining NFC spot? We know the other 6, right?
Yes.
Everyone else has been eliminated.
If you're looking at the remaining spots in the AFC, well, Denver is 12th right now.
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati's 13th.
Denver's had a better year.
Yeah.
Where's Miami?
Miami is 17th. 16th on offense, 10th on defense, 30th on special teams.
I know special teams been a problem for
And
them
this year.
Yeah. Part of that's how they're built, too. Who else is in it? I think that's it.
That's it.
That's
Yeah.
Okay.
According to
I
the
think their list is pretty strong. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, according to the, again, this is ESPN's FPI analytics ratings, who do you think the worst team in the NFL is right now?
Giants.
Not even close. They're 28th.
Browns?
Cleveland Browns.
I think they weight offense pretty heavy. Are they
32?
32?
32nd on offense, 21st on defense, and
Wow.
20th on special teams. They are bad across the board.
But were they in special teams?
20th.
I know they have kicker problems, to say the least.
They have to weight offense
I think they
heavier-
weighed pretty heavy. That's why
heavier
I
than the
was-
defense.
thought of them second. Is the Browns' defense disappointing this year? I could kind of make a conversation for both.
Well, here's the problem.
They're out there so much.
And this is what happens with the Steeler defense as well.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. And Arthur Smith mentioned this at his press conference yesterday. He's like, look, everything goes hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
It's awful tough to be with a 30-second offense if you're the defense for 17 games.
for example, in the last couple of weeks, we've seen this in Steeler games, including last week. The Steelers get the ball on the opening possession. They get the Chiefs to punt.
Mm-hmm.
The punt's down at the 1 yard line or 2 yard line, whatever it was. The offense doesn't generate a first down, kicks the
Give
ball
it right back to them.
gives it right back. And on the return, they force a fumble that rolls forward 10 yards.
Yeah.
And they get the ball.
Yeah.
You're giving the Chiefs offense the ball at the 42.
Yeah. I mean, it's not much different than them hitting a long pass on third down before and then not punting.
Yeah.
Right. And the defense did nothing wrong. And you're right back out
You're
there.
giving Patrick Mahomes the ball at the 42.
At the 42.
He actually gained yards from where they punted it at.
Right. He's like, oh, this is great. Yeah, right. Last time I was on the field, we were in a lot worse shape. It's like I hit a long ball. No, 100%. Like, I think the Browns are a perfect example. Like, they have a lot of problems, but it wouldn't be, man, we got to go back to the drawing board on defense. I would at least roll that back. Let's just possess the ball a little bit, have competent quarterback play. The defense might not be top 5 or wherever it ended up in DVOA or these rankings a year ago, but they almost have no chance to succeed.
None.
Yeah, I mean, none. I mean, as bad as that offense has been.
Yeah, if you're just constantly punting.
Let's do a quick exercise. Like, who are the bottom 5 offenses? And I wonder, do we think their defenses are disappointing this year?
The bottom 5 offenses.
Because there's teams like probably the Patriots that just don't have good players, period.
The Patriots are 28.
Okay.
What's
their defense then?
31st.
And that adds up. I mean, they just need everything.
The Giants are 29. They're 28th on defense.
But they weren't like when the Steelers played them. Remember, they were like the best pass rushing unit, and Lawrence. That's another one that's probably just on the field for too many months in a row.
Yeah.
Months.
The Titans are 30th on offense. They're 23rd on defense. I think it's a talented. They get some talent on defense.
At least a middle of the road defense,
but they're on the field too much.
Exactly. I mean, that's why I wanted to do this.
The Raiders are the outlier here. They're 31st on offense. They're 16th on defense. But he's a defensive coach.
He is, and like EPA and DVOA, they've been skyrocketing up the boards lately, and I think it's because they played the Saints. And
that doesn't hurt.
The last couple of weeks have been really kind to them.
The last couple of weeks have been kind to them, and they've been playing without their best player.
Even without Crosby.
Yeah.
Which is a feather in their cap. The defense is still playing hard, and it's a defensive-minded coach and all that, but I wouldn't look at their defense this offseason and think, oh, we're good.
They might.
They might because they have so many other things, especially a quarterback. But,
and then you get the Browns at 32, and they're 21st on defense.
Okay, so there's some decent defenses there. They're just being really brought down by offenses not being able to do anything.
If you look at this, Houston is 22nd offensively, 4th on defense.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to have that kind of split.
Yeah.
It's easy to have the other kind of split, the Bengal kind of split.
Right.
Yeah.
The Steelers or the Seahawks are 21st on offense, 9th on defense.
Which adds up. Their defense is pretty good.
Denver is 19th on offense, 3rd in defense. Steelers are 18th on offense, 6th in defense.
But I bet Denver, I don't know this, but I bet they have a good time of possession. I mean, they control the football well. I mean, maybe they're not the most explosive offense, but I don't think their style of play hurts their defense.
If you look at it from the other perspective, the teams that have the really good offenses, Baltimore, 1st in offense, 14th in defense.
But trending the other way now, though. I bet
there should be that way, though, because they run the crap out of the ball.
Bro, they're so complimentary to
There's no reason. Right. There was no reason for them to be in the 20s before.
No.
When you possess the football, you're running for over almost 200 yards a game, and you're just giving it up left and right.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of defensive deficiencies, the first half of the season.
Detroit.
And the thing about them, too, is their special teams are hurting them, too.
Yeah. Detroit is 2nd. They're 12th on defense.
But that's injuries.
That's going the other way.
That's the thing, is they're just so decimated. It does sound like they might get some people back, like Anzalone, Montgomery's not far. Some of their injuries are trending the right way.
Buffalo is 3rd, but 11th in defense.
I'm not sure they're 11th best defense, so the more you think through it. I mean, I think they benefit from playing with the lead a lot.
Yeah. Philadelphia is 4th, 2nd in defense.
Yeah. They're really good.
Again, they run the ball a lot.
A lot.
Cincinnati, 5th on offense, 29th on defense.
Yeah, that's the way it's really hard to win.
Washington, 6th and 19.
And that doesn't surprise you either. I mean, that's a new staff that just doesn't have a ton of great defensive players at this point either.
So, I mean, they do go hand in hand.
They absolutely go hand in hand.
It absolutely works hand in hand. And if you're going to you got to possess the football offensively. You got to move the ball. Even if you're kicking field goals, you're still giving your defense time to rest.
That's been the biggest thing. Two things I've really harped on this week when I look at this game or the state of the Steelers is the long week, which leads to health and better prep time, ability to attack your issues. Some of the things that they've had problems with, bunch, motion, things like that, too. Now you have more time to practice it and maybe even get the different people in there. And time of possession. I mean, to me, those are the things that everything else will fall into place once you kind of get with those things in a better situation.
You right the ship there.
Right the ship there. They cause fumbles, but they don't fall on them. Well, that's just bad luck. I mean, just keep doing what you're doing. And if your offense possesses the football a little bit more and you're a little well rested, you'll get your share of fumble recovery. That stuff's coming.
I saw the one that they forced. I watched Hard Knocks last night.
The one that hit off the helmet too.
Yeah,
this is bonkers, right?
Right. Like that ball is shooting towards the entire Steelers defense or coverage unit as they're coming down the field. They can see the ball coming out.
They make a great play, and right.
They're ready. They're going to fall on this because they get their eyes on the ball coming out, and it hits a Chiefs guy in the back of the helmet and bounces backwards, and their guy falls on it.
Yep. And if that happens in week 4, you might not think about it again because you've been possessing the football and you run the ball and you're not playing the best team in the league. And, but in a game like that, when times are tough, it's like, when you need it most. So there's some bad luck, too.
Yeah, a little bad luck there. But, they've done a pretty good job of actually getting on the balls for the most part this season.
I think they swarmed the ball well.
The last few games have not gone their way.
Mm-hmm. But those kind of things correct themselves.
Most of the time, when we've seen in the Ravens game and we've seen it now in the Chiefs game, most of the time on a punt return, when you hit the return guy, the ball goes backwards.
Right.
It doesn't go forwards.
Yeah, you don't get
in both instances the ball went forward.
Mm-hmm.
That's just weird.
And I also think things like that. I mean, everyone knows the ball isn't round; it bounces funny for everyone. All those things. But when you're a little fresher, when you've had the football more, bounces start to go your way. You 34 minutes of time of possession. Well, the defense doesn't quite get to the ball as well as because they're tired. Those type of things.
That one against the Chiefs, there were like 5 Steelers. There were like 5 Steelers right there.
I know. I thought the same thing last night.
It rolled right back to the one Chief that was there.
The angle they showed on Hard Knocks, how did I get that? That's crazy.
There was one dude there.
And went right to him.
And went right back to him.
Yep. I thought the same thing. I was of course I remember that play.
That would have been a massive play in that game. They would have had the ball inside the 10.
And going back, I mean, you can frame things a lot, and Hard Knocks is trying to drum up, viewership and all those things. But the way they laid out that Chiefs game, it's like, man, that was rough. And when that happened, and the Freiermuth fumble, and they weren't the better team that day, but it was some self-inflicted stuff.
There was some again, even with the Freiermuth fumble, you gave the Chiefs a short field.
Mm-hmm.
The one team in the league you can't give a short field to.
Yep.
And you gave them a short field twice. That's how you end up losing 29-10.
Started on the 42-yard line after shutting them down, right?
You give them 14 points because you gave them the ball in scoring range twice.
Mahomes just smiling ear to ear with that, like a butcher's dog,
So, anyways, let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back to finish up the show right after this. Anyways, as back to the show.
I did that last week, too.
Yeah.
They hit record, and I'm just babbling away here about all the crap we're talking about.
Not like this was live radio or something, Matt.
Right.
So anyways, Matt, looking at this Cincinnati Bengals team, they've won 4 in a row. The 4 wins coming over Dallas without Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Tennessee with
was that Levis?
Levis, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, either way, they're not a good team.
Yeah. They beat the Browns 24-6 with DTR. And then they just beat the Broncos. And
the Broncos might be their best win of the year.
It's easily their best win of the year. It's their only win this season over a team with a winning record.
Mm-hmm.
They're 1-7 in games against teams with a 500 or better record.
Yeah, there's some distinct things there with this season. We talked about it a lot last time around with the Bengals, but wow.
And in those games against teams with a 500 or better record, they've given up 34 points a game. They've scored 29.
Yeah.
They've given up 34.
Yep. The stuff that the NFL put out about, they dug into this real heavy of the splits versus teams with winning records versus not is really distinct for this team. And there's a lot. I mean, every team has a story of, the Steelers is very obvious when they went from Fields to Wilson, et cetera, et cetera. The Bengals have kind of been this team for 16 games.
True they are.
I mean, the offense isn't all of a sudden playing better or worse. I know the defense has done a little better, but you just mentioned who they've played since the Steelers saw them last.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's big play driven. But I don't think
a lot of it's also the turnovers that they forced. Since that game, the four games since they played the Steelers, they've forced 10 turnovers.
They've also turned the ball over a lot more, too.
They've also turned the ball over 7 times. If they turn the ball over like that against the Steelers, they're going to lose.
That's not the Titans and the Browns.
No.
Right.
The Browns with DTR aren't going to hurt you if you turn the ball over. They turned the ball over. They forced 6 turnovers against the Titans.
Yeah.
Because Levis stinks.
Oh, turnover machine.
They had 4 turnovers in that game.
I know.
4.
I know.
And 1.
It's how their whole season's gone. Like I was about to compare them to the Ravens. Ravens defense was a mess, but it looks like they fixed it. Like this defense, since the Steelers played them, has done better things in that they've generated sacks and turnovers, but then your offense is doing the same thing. They're getting sacks and turning the ball over at a higher rate. It's so even-steven with this team, and they played some bad teams since then. Denver aside, I think Denver's good, and that's a nice win. That's when they're coming off of.
And they easily could have lost that game.
Oh, yeah.
Easily.
The coaching decision, or if Burrow took it in his own hands or whatever, doesn't bite you 9 out of 10 times.
They went for it 3 times on 4th down. They only got one of them.
But you ask Chase Brown to take a dive and not get in the end zone, and then and he gets injured on the play.
Yeah.
And the next play, I don't know if Burrow just took it upon himself to get in. Maybe. They never would throw him under the bus. But you should have lost that game considering handing the ball to Denver at the way that they did.
I mean, honestly, if I'm Denver in that situation, that's a situation where I would have gone for 2.
Oh, yeah.
You had the momentum back.
You had the momentum. You don't want to hand it to Burrow.
And their defense stinks. Their defense stinks. Look, you ran for 123 yards in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Why not just line up and say, okay, we're going to go for 2 here.
Yeah.
And
what I don't know is
we can get 2 yards.
Would a tie have gotten Denver into the playoff? I don't know what all their tie
a tie would have clinched for them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That would have acted the same as a win for them.
So maybe that might have went into Peyton's thinking, and they almost did end up with a tie.
Right. And if we can extend this thing through overtime, we get out of here with our goal intact. But no, just in terms of winning the game, going 4-2 was the move.
You had the momentum. They gave up. They let you go.
Oh, they were deflated. You walked down the field and, that was not great.
Let you score with 8 seconds left. I think it was a 4th down play, too.
I think it was, too. Yeah.
And you hit a 25-yard pass. They can't.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing about Mims had a 51-yard touchdown catch. He had a 25-yard touchdown catch. Nobody's going to confuse Marvin Mims, although he's fast, with George Pickens.
No, different style player, too.
If you're going to give up those kind of things to Marvin Mims.
Yeah. They give them up to everybody.
Pickens might tear you up.
So I get the logic, and I've said this 1,000 times too. I don't want Burrow to be in the AFC playoffs, but I don't get the logic of that's the team you don't want to meet. If they beat the Steelers and they're on this 5-game winning streak going into the playoffs, you're going to read article after article.
Oh, I know. Nobody wants to play this team.
This is the hottest team out there. Nobody wants to play the Bengals. The defense is still terrible.
Yeah.
And I don't think their running game is going to be all that productive without Chase Brown.
I don't think Josh Allen will be looking at that going, boy, I don't know how we're going to move the ball against this team.
I'm sure Allen, Mahomes, Lamar, et cetera, be like, okay, I'm going to have to put up points against these guys, but it's not going to be real hard to do.
Lamar's done it twice where they just gone out and outscored them.
Mm-hmm.
The Steelers went out and just outscored them.
And I do think the Bengals could win on Saturday. I definitely think could happen.
They can beat anybody because of that offense. They can lose to anybody because of that defense.
I know. And I also look at the offense, though. I really think it's 3 guys.
Yeah.
If the Chase Brown, not that he's a great back, but he's a capable and he's a big play back and he's a 2-way guy and that he can affect the receiving and run game. I don't think their O-line's particularly good.
No.
And the run game and the backfield is flat out bad right now. Maybe the worst in the league. So to me, this is just a massive compliment to Burrow that they're even close to this in Chase and Higgins. And if Higgins doesn't play, yikes.
Let's not forget in that game, the Bengals won the coin toss in overtime.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going down. They're trying to score to finish the game off.
You're talking about the Denver game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what happens? Burrow gets sacked.
Oh, yeah. He's got to be a magician all year.
All year long.
The sack stuff's getting bad, and he's taking a beating. He's got 3 different injuries. Again, he's unbelievably good.
In fact, Cincinnati got the ball back twice.
So I think they had 2 drives.
They had 3 possessions in that overtime.
They had 3. Okay.
3. The first one ended with Burrow being sacked on back-to-back plays. Zach Allen got him twice.
Allen, yeah.
And then they punted.
Side note, left guard's a real problem for them, where Cam Heyward lines up. Yeah.
They force a 3-and-out by Denver. They get the ball back at their own 46. Now all you need is a field goal to win the game,
yeah.
And they donk it.
And then, yeah. That was off the upright.
33-yard field goal that you hit off the upright because the kicker's
I say kicker's a problem.
An issue.
Too. Yeah.
And then you get it back again with 2:20 left at the 37. You hit a couple plays, and you don't even try this time to go get a field goal.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would all you need to win. No, you've got to get it in the end zone because you don't trust. You don't trust your kicker.
Right.
You can't trust your defense. Like.
There's
so much not to trust on this.
There's so much not to trust. Like, I would be, if you're Chase Higgins and especially Burrow, I'm not sure you could come up with a more frustrating situation. Like, I have to do everything, every play, every
You saw
down.
that on Hard Knocks last night.
Exactly.
When the kick up or when they scored the touchdown, Burrow's like, oh.
And you've seen it 8 to 10 times this year.
Yeah.
Chase on the sideline losing his mind, or Burrow's face just like, what else do you want me to do?
Yeah.
I throw for 303 touchdowns every week.
That's why I think if once again, if you get up on the Bengals early in this one,
mm-hmm.
they might say, you know what?
Enough's enough.
Enough's enough. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
We got to rebuild this thing. I'm not going to play my butt off to go out there and lose another game like this and watch that defense just cave.
And I'll say this: no matter what the result is on Saturday, if the Bengals beat the Steelers handily, I still would not want to be in charge of their offseason.
No.
I mean, Chase is going to get paid huge. Higgins is not going to be back. The defense needs totally rebuilt. The O-line needs reinforcements. And you got the quarterback, and that's awesome. I mean, that is awesome. But I've heard a lot of people say Burrow may end up like a Stafford-like career. Like I'm the driving
at least he's
force
made
in
a
Detroit.
He's made it to a Super Bowl.
Had more success than
Yeah.
Stafford was on.
It might be a Matt Ryan type career, though.
Yeah. Or where I was going with that is team number 2 for Burrow gets the gets to where
at some point he might get tired of it.
Like, this is enough.
Yeah.
I can't be.
I mean, you've already heard that kind of rumbling out of Myles Garrett.
Absolutely. I mean, it's becoming more and more common in the league. Period.
Yeah,
Garrett Wilson.
I got to know what's our plan here moving forward because I'm 28 now.
Yeah.
And we're not close to winning.
Yeah. I mean, Garrett Wilson sits there and looks at, hey, I love you, Devontae Adams, but I'm open too. And just because you guys are buddies and what the heck's going on here? Am I coming back? It's not uncommon in the league anymore. These guys have a little more power.
Yeah, absolutely. But, Matt, that's going to do it for today's show.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be back again tomorrow. We'll make our picks on everything.
Yeah.
And we'll do our DFS lineup, the whole deal.
That's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, it certainly is. Missy Matthews will stop by. So lots of good stuff to look forward to. But that's going to do it for today's show. So for my partner, Matt Williamson, for Justin Miller here on site, running the Justin Miller hotline and the soundboard over there, for Tyler Vittmeyer, making sure our video gets out there onto the YouTube. Check that out there. I'm Dale Lolley. We thank you for listening to this edition of The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.